Ever, ever find yourself kind of struggling, to like find the perfect words to get your point across? And like sometimes you just wish you knew exactly what to say to close a deal or navigate a tricky conversation.
Right. Well, that's what we're diving into today, this idea of magic words. Like, seriously, magic words. We're taking a deep dive into this book, Exactly What to Say by Phil M. Jones. And it's all about using these specific words and phrases to like unlock influence in any conversation. And honestly, the whole concept of magic words kind of reminds me of this time I was trying to convince my friend to try this amazing Thai place I discovered. But like I couldn't articulate WHY. It was so good. I stumbled over my words and she ended up going to the same old burger joint. It was like watching a communication train wreck in slow motion. And it made me realize how much power there is in the way we use language.
Sure.
And that's where Jones's book comes in. He breaks down how using the right words can actually tap into the subconscious brain. It's like having a secret code to unlock influence without being pushy or manipulative. So let's jump into some of these magic words and unpack why they work. One of the first things Jones tackles is rejection-free introductions. You know those moments when you're pitching an idea or asking for a favor and you're met with this like instant wall of resistance? It's like people are programmed to say no before they even know what they're saying, no TO. So Jones suggests using this phrase, I'm not sure if it's for you, but it sounds kind of counterintuitive, right? But by starting with, I'm not sure if it's for you, you're immediately lowering their defenses. You're not pushing, you're presenting. And that little but, that's the magic hook. It draws them in, makes them curious about what you're going to say next. For example, let's say you want to introduce a new workflow strategy at work. Now, instead of barging in with, hey everyone, we're changing things up, which is guaranteed to trigger groans and eye rolls, you could try this. I'm not sure if it's for you, but T. Lovey, I've been experimenting with a new workflow strategy that's been incredibly effective for me. Would you be open to hearing about it? Yeah, see the difference? You're not forcing it. You're inviting them in. Another brilliant technique Jones talks about is using the phrase, how open-minded are you about? Now, this one's all about pre-framing. You're setting the stage for a conversation where the other person feels empowered to consider new possibilities. Like you're giving them permission to step outside their comfort zone. Let's say you're trying to convince your partner to try a new restaurant, one that's maybe a little outside their usual comfort zone. Instead of saying, hey, want to try this weird fusion place, which might trigger an instant no, you could say, how open-minded are you about trying a new culinary experience? This place has some really unique dishes I think you might enjoy. By phrasing it this way, you're not pushing. You're inviting them to consider. Now, let's talk about those times when you encounter someone with, shall we say, strong opinions. You know the type of people? They've got an answer for everything. Jones offers a clever strategy for navigating these conversations without getting into a head-on collision. He suggests using the phrase, what do you know about? And this phrase is genius because it subtly challenges their knowledge base without triggering defensiveness. It's like saying, hey, I'm curious about your perspective. Help me understand where you're coming from. For example, imagine you're discussing a hot-button political issue with someone who has a very different viewpoint. Instead of engaging in a heated debate, you could try this. What do you know about the history of this issue? I'm trying to get a more comprehensive understanding. By framing it this way, you're opening up a dialogue instead of shutting it down. Now let's shift gears and talk about motivation, because let's face it, we could all use a little boost from time to time, right? Jones emphasizes that understanding what motivates people is crucial for effective communication. And guess what? It all boils down to two basic drivers, moving towards pleasure or away from pain. We're wired to seek out what feels good and avoid what feels bad. So, to leverage this, Jones recommends using the phrase, how would you feel if? This phrase is powerful because it taps into the emotional core of decision-making. It forces people to visualize the potential consequences of their actions, both positive and negative. For example, let's say you're trying to motivate a team member who's been procrastinating on a crucial project. Instead of nagging or lecturing, you can try this. How would you feel if this project got delayed because we didn't meet the deadline? You're not just stating a fact, you're painting a picture, triggering an emotional response that might just be the kick in the pants they need. On the flip side, you can use the same phrase to highlight the positive outcomes. How would you feel if we crushed this project and everyone celebrated our success? Suddenly, the task doesn't seem so daunting, right? It's all about framing the scenario in a way that resonates with their emotional drivers. And you know how sometimes you get so caught up in the day-to-day that you forget to actually visualize your goals. Jones reminds us that every decision we make happens twice. First in our minds, and then in reality. It's like our brains need a mental rehearsal before we can fully commit to something. And that's where the phrase just imagine comes in. It's like a mental movie projector, helping people create vivid images of their desired outcomes. You're not just telling them what's possible. You're helping them experience it in their minds. Let's say you're trying to encourage a friend to finally take that trip they've always dreamed of. Instead of just saying, you should totally go, which might trigger a wave of anxieties and excuses, you could say, just imagine you're standing on that white sand beach, feeling the warm breeze on your face, hearing the sound of the waves. How does that feel? You're painting a picture, creating a sensory experience that makes the dream feel more real, more tangible. Okay, now let's get real for a second. One of the biggest roadblocks to pretty much anything is the dreaded T word, time. Everyone's busy schedules are packed, and it's all too easy to let things slip through the cracks. But Jones offers a clever way to preempt those time-related excuses and keep things moving forward. He suggests using the phrase, when would be a good time too. See, this phrase assumes that there will be a good time, shifting the focus from if to when. It's like you're subtly bypassing that initial resistance and prompting them to actually consider their schedule. For example, imagine you're trying to schedule a follow-up meeting with a potential client. Instead of a vague, let's connect sometime, try this. When would be a good time to circle back and discuss next steps? It shows you're serious about moving forward and subtly nudges them to commit to a specific time frame. And here's a bonus tip. When you do finally connect, don't start by asking, what did you think? Because let's be honest, that opens the door for objections and negativity. Instead, try this. What did you like about it? You're guiding them towards a positive response and setting a more collaborative tone. All right, let's talk about those awkward moments when someone drops the ball right. They make a promise, commit to something, and then crickets. Radio silence. It's easy to get frustrated to assume they've ghosted you or just don't care. But Jones offers a clever tactic to address those unkept promises without, coming across as accusatory. He suggests using the phrase, I'm guessing you haven't gotten around to. It's a subtle way of calling them out without being confrontational. It allows them to either save face by saying, oh, actually, I have done that. Or it prompts them to explain themselves and hopefully get back on track. For example, let's say a colleague promised to send you some data for a report, but it's been days and you're still waiting. Instead of firing off a passive-aggressive email like, hey, just checking on that data, try this. I'm guessing you haven't gotten around to sending that data yet. No worries, just let me know when I can expect it. It's direct, but it also gives them the benefit of the doubt. Now, this next tip is all about those tiny word swaps that can have a huge impact on how your message is received. Have you ever finished a presentation with the classic, do you have any questions? Only to be met with blank stares and awkward silence. It's like that question itself shuts down conversation instead of opening it up. Jones suggests a simple tweak. Instead of asking, do you have any questions? Try saying, what questions do you have for me? It's subtle, but it makes a big difference. You're assuming there are questions, prompting them to actively engage instead of passively nodding along. Another swap that can work wonders is, instead of asking, can I have your phone number, which can feel a little intrusive, try this. What's the best number to contact you at? It's less demanding, more respectful. And it subtly implies that you will be contacting them, which shows you're serious about staying in touch. Okay? Let's be real. Sometimes too many choices can be paralyzing. It's like when you go to a restaurant with a 10-page menu and you end up just ordering the same thing you always get because it's just too overwhelming. Jones suggests using the phrase, "you have three options," to simplify decision-making and subtly guide people towards your desired outcome. For example, let's say you're presenting different pricing packages to a client. Instead of overwhelming them with all the details, you could say, you have three options: the basic package, the premium package, or our most popular option, the deluxe package, which offers the best value for your investment. By highlighting the deluxe package as the most popular, you're subtly suggesting it's the preferred choice without being pushy. Here's another choice-driven phrase that plays on our innate desire to belong. There are two types of people. This one's kind of sneaky, but it works. By framing choices in this way, you're triggering a self-categorization instinct, prompting people to identify with the option that aligns with their desired identity. For example, you can say there are two types of people: those who play it safe and those who embrace opportunity. Which one are you? It's a bit manipulative, sure, but it can be effective, especially when used ethically. We all crave connection, that feeling of shared values and experiences, right? Jones taps into this with the phrase, "I bet you're a bit like me." It's like you're instantly creating a bond, suggesting you're on the same wavelength and understand their perspective. Let's say you're trying to connect with a potential client who's hesitant to invest. You could say, "I bet you're a bit like me. You value quality over quantity and want to make sure every dollar is well spent." Or if you're talking to someone who's skeptical of a new approach, you could try this: "I bet you're a bit like me. You like to see the evidence before you jump in." By finding these relatable points, you're building trust and making them more receptive to your message. Now, let's talk about if-then statements. Those classic conditional phrases we all grew up with. Like if you clean your room, then you can go out with friends. Jones points out that these statements tap into ingrained mental patterns, making outcomes feel more certain and achievable. For example, you could use an if-then statement to inspire someone to take action. If you commit to working on this project for just 1 hour a day, then I guarantee you'll see significant progress within a month. Or, to instill confidence in a decision, if you choose to invest in this opportunity, then I'm confident you won't regret it. By framing your message in this way, you're creating a sense of certainty and making your desired outcome feel inevitable. We all experience those moments of doubt and anxiety, those times when fear threatens to derail our progress. Jones offers a simple, yet surprisingly effective antidote: don't worry. These two little words, when spoken with sincerity and conviction, can instantly diffuse tension and put people at ease. Imagine you're working with a client who's freaking out about a deadline. Instead of adding fuel to the fire with a panicked, "Oh no, we're never going to make it," try this: "Don't worry, we've got this. We've handled tight deadlines before, and we'll pull it off again." Your calm demeanor will help them regain their composure and focus on finding solutions. Indecision is the enemy of progress, right? It keeps us stuck in a loop of what-ifs and maybes, preventing us from taking those bold leaps forward. Jones tackles this with the phrase, "most people." This simple phrase leverages social proof. That innate human tendency to follow the crowd and find comfort in knowing others have made the same decision. Let's say you're trying to encourage someone to sign up for a program. Instead of a generic, "You should really consider this, try this," most people in your situation jump at this opportunity knowing it could make a real difference in their lives. Or if you're trying to close a deal, most of our clients choose the premium package because it offers the best value in the long run. By highlighting what others are doing, you're subtly nudging them towards making the same choice. We've all had those moments, right? Where we're like, "Yeah, I wish I'd said like that time. You accidentally insulted your boss's new haircut. Or maybe you missed a golden opportunity because you just couldn't find the right words." And that's where Jones' book comes in exactly what to say. It's like this cheat sheet for those tricky conversational moments. It gives you these specific phrases, these magic words that can help you navigate those situations with more grace and influence. And the best part, these phrases are like rooted in psychology. It's all about understanding what motivates people, tapping into their emotions, and using language to create a sense of connection. I know it sounds like a lot to take in, but trust me, you don't have to master all of these magic words overnight. Just pick one or two that resonate with you and start experimenting. See what happens. It's kind of like learning a new sport, right? You wouldn't expect to become a pro athlete after one practice session. You start with the basics, practice consistently, and gradually build up your skills. Communication is the same way. The more you practice using these magic words, the more natural they'll become, and the more confident you'll feel in any conversation. Who knows? Maybe you'll even come up with your own magic words along the way. So here's a little challenge. Think about a conversation you have coming up, maybe a job interview, a presentation, or even just a heart-to-heart with a friend. Choose one magic word technique we talked about today and give it a try. Pay attention to how the other person responds, their body language, their tone of voice. Did it shift the dynamic? Did it help you achieve your goal? And here's a final thought. What if everyone was just a little bit better at communication? Imagine a world where we could express ourselves clearly, listen with empathy, and resolve conflicts peacefully. What kind of impact could we have? The power of language is truly amazing. It can build bridges, inspire action, and create lasting change. So go out there, experiment with these magic words, and see what kind of magic you can create.